everybody, I'm Latrina Patrick. Welcome to day 9 of our 90-day grant writing tutorial. Today we will focus on the evaluation plan. This is another important component of your proposal because this will measure the success of your program, and we want to be able to demonstrate that whatever we're doing out there, that it's working. So your evaluation plan will help you show that. There are a few things I need to set the foundation with about evaluation plan. First and foremost is, if you have a private funder, then an evaluation plan is typically very helpful. But if you have a state or a federal agency that's funding your program, then an evaluation component is mandatory. So let's talk about why that is. The evaluation is intended to do two things. It's going to measure the success of your program, so that's number one. And it also serves as a way to steer your program back on track if it's deviating from the plan. So you'll be able to determine with your evaluation plan if you are off track, and it'll help guide you back on track. And that's very important. So you don't have to be afraid that things are not going as they're supposed to go. If you're doing regular evaluations, then it's going to help you get back on track, and that's better than not knowing at all. So you don't want to be afraid by that. I also want to address something that I haven't addressed prior to this session, and that is, when you're writing a grant, it needs to have one person doing the writing. You don't want to have one person writing the problem statement, another person writing the program description, another person writing, the budget or whatever. You want to have one person primarily writing the entire grant, with the exception of the evaluation plan. This is the only area of the grant that I recommend you have someone other than the traditional grant writer to write this. You want this to be written by someone who's an actual evaluator, because it's very scientific and depending on the scale of the project, and you really want someone who understands what those deliverables are regarding the evaluation plan. So if you're going after major money from a federal agency or from a state agency, it's going to get pretty scientific and pretty technical, and you want somebody who understands that language writing this part for you. This will tie into the goals and objectives very closely, as I mentioned in yesterday's tutorial. The goals and objectives that you're writing relate back to the evaluation plan. So when you're writing those specific activities that you list as your objectives, the evaluator then goes back when they come to evaluate the program and looks at those activities to see if you did what you said you were going to do and if things went according to plan. So they go hand in hand. That's why I recommended that your objectives be specific. And in particular, I said they should be SMART objectives, meaning specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and timely. So the evaluator will be grateful for that when it comes time to evaluate that program. There are two types of evaluations: process evaluations and outcome evaluations. Process evaluations look at how the program's activities were delivered. It's basically a tool that will help you measure the overall quality of your program. Outcome evaluations look at results. So this is going to tell you whether or not your program had a direct effect on your targeted program recipients. So if you were administering, say, a substance abuse prevention program around alcohol and other drugs, well, you want to be able to measure that your program increased the knowledge of your program participants around the issue of alcohol and drugs. So here are a couple of general rules when it comes to evaluation. If you have a grant award for your project that's in excess of $150,000, then you really should include an evaluation component. As I said before, if it's a federal grant or a state grant, you're going to have to do it anyway. It's going to be mandated. But if it's from a private funder and it's in excess of that amount of money, then you really should include an evaluation component. When it comes to using an evaluator, you need to make sure that the evaluator is an independent evaluator, not someone from within your organization. And that could be the case if you have a large organization like a treatment facility or a healthcare facility. You could have someone that works within your organization that can serve that capacity. You don't want to do that. You want to keep this as above board as possible, because if you're in a situation where an evaluation is looking bad or reflecting bad on your program or your organization, You don't want someone who has something at stake writing that evaluation plan. So you want to make sure that it's someone that's objective and outside of your organization. I typically have always gone to universities for an outside evaluator. I don't think I've ever used anyone aside from someone within a major university. And they have tons of people in several departments that you can go to that will be willing to do this for you. Typically, you're going to find someone that you have a relationship with, that you've worked with on other projects, but you usually find those people in a major university. So that's where I would start if you've never done that before. The evaluation also needs to be included in your budget. A rule of thumb is you need to allocate at least 15 to 20% of your budget towards the evaluation. So you can see why if it's in excess of $150,000, then that shouldn't be a problem. If it's a smaller grant from a foundation, $10,000, $15,000, $20,000, then you don't need to do that. You just need to write some narrative around how you're going to evaluate your program. You don't need to go out and hire an evaluator. So that does it for this session on evaluation. I hope that was helpful for you. If you have any questions or comments about this particular session, please post your questions here on our YouTube channel. And while you're here, I hope you'll subscribe to the channel. That way you will get immediate notification whenever I upload a video. I also send out a weekly update telling you what the agenda is for that week. So you'll get a sneak peek on what's coming up, and then you can plug in on those days when I'm covering subjects that you really have an interest in. In order to do that, I need you to go over to my website, www.greatervisionconsulting.com, and subscribe to my newsletter and email updates, and you'll get those emails every Monday. And as a gift to you for doing that, I will send you a free Grant Writer's Toolkit when you sign up for my email updates. That includes a template for a grant proposal. It includes a template for a budget, sample letters of support and letters of commitment that you can use to get letters from your community partners, and also has a bunch of referrals and links and resources for brand new grant writers that will help you write winning and compelling grants. So go over to my website to get that, and you'll be in the loop. And while you're on the website, make sure you check out my bio. You'll learn a little bit more about me and my background, and also some of the services that I offer. In tomorrow's tutorial, we'll talk about the budget. Make sure you tune back in so you'll find out what is allowed in the budget and what type of expenses you shouldn't put in your budget. So join us here tomorrow for that. It's going to be a great tutorial. I look forward to seeing you then. Bye.